Welcome to Hire Power, the show where we cut through the noise and get real about hiring. I'm Kim Frost, founder of Frost Connections, and after 25 plus years in the search industry, I've seen what works and what absolutely doesn't. If you're a founder, CEO, VP, or HR leader who's tired of bad hires and ready to build a team that actually fits your culture and vision, you're in the right place. Let's get into it. Hi there, welcome back. No Diet Coke again. Let's not even talk about it. We're going to get right into it. Today, I'm talking about how to lead your team through a merger, acquisition, or a reorg. I am seeing that type of activity pick up again. On the surface, it's a good thing. It signals growth, movement, opportunity. But let's not confuse activity with success. Because behind every one of these announcements, there's a team trying to figure out what just happens and what it means for them. Here's what I've seen over the last 25 years of doing this work. I have had countless clients go through mergers, acquisitions, and major reorgs. And rarely, and I mean rarely, have I seen them truly work the way they were intended to. Not on paper, not in the boardroom, but in execution. And I want to be really clear about something in my true form. This is not just the worker bees this happens to. I've seen this break down at every level, from the frontline teams, mid-level leadership, and yes, even the executive teams, especially executive teams. Because when roles shift, power shifts. And when power shifts, behavior changes. That's when you see leaders jockeying for position, showing up with their game on, silos forming, decisions slowing down, or worse, decisions getting chaotic. And what happens? Your organization feels it immediately. Why do these fail? It really comes down to one thing, and I see it time and time again. It's how the people transition is handled. Because we know change is constant, but as humans, we struggle with it. We resist it, we question it, we internalize it. And when leaders underestimate that in itself right there is your breakdown. In fact, I'd argue when change isn't handled well, it is the number one reason these transitions fail. Not strategy, not the deal itself, the people. Let me give you a real example. I had a client go through a major leadership transition after an acquisition. On paper, it made sense. Strong company acquiring another strong company, clear financial upside, complementary capabilities. This is going to be great for business, increased revenue, lots more opportunity for growth. But within the first 90 days, one of their top leaders called me, frustrated, questioning their decision. Why? Because instead of being positioned to lead through the transition, they were being pulled into low-level tactical work. Now, was that intentional? Maybe, maybe not. But what it signaled was lack of clarity, lack of alignment at the top, and a complete miss on how to utilize key talent during that transition. That leader almost left. And had they left, it wouldn't have been just one resignation. It would have created a ripple effect across the entire organization. And that's how fast this can unravel. And the data backs up what we see in real life. Attrition rates right after a merger and acquisition can double, which means the very people you need to make this successful are the ones most likely to leave. So the question isn't, Is this a good deal? The question is, can your team perform through it? That is key because as a leader, that really is your job. So here's what strong leaders do differently. Here's my step-by-step again, paper and pen out. Number one, they know they're critical players before there's a problem. Hopefully during this pre-M&A period, you've mapped that out. You've identified the people that you absolutely need to keep. Because after the announcement, that is not the time to figure out who matters. You need to know who drives results, who others rely on, who holds institutional knowledge. Now ask yourself, are they critical to this transition? If yes, you need to act now. What's the number one thing? Retention bonus. Even if it's short term, it doesn't even have to be huge or even cash. But what this signals to that person is you need them and you value them. Expanded roles or visibility. That's also something that you can do. And clear involvement on what's happening. Because waiting until someone resigns, no matter when it is, that is going to set you behind. Number two, communicate it like it actually matters. Silence during change doesn't create calm. In fact, it creates swirls, it creates stories. And you know the stories that we tell ourselves? So, yes, as I always say, over communicate. I'm a big believer that you can never over communicate. Now, you have to communicate what you communicate is appropriate, but it doesn't hurt to over communicate. How do you do this? Team meetings, one-on-ones, written updates, skip level conversations. Remember this, transparency isn't having all the answers. I've talked about it before. It's being honest about what you know and what you don't. Number three, answer the question everyone is thinking. Where do I fit in? How does this impact me? Your team is evaluating their future, whether you address it or not. So don't leave it unclear. What could their role become? What opportunities exist? What skills matter going forward? And if someone's not aligned, have the conversation early. Because when you don't, we go back to trust, and that's when trust starts to erode. Number four, turn uncertainty into opportunity. During change, people are more open than you think, so use that. Launch a new initiative that's been sitting on the back burner. Create cross-functional projects. Give emerging leaders real ownership. And introduce what's next, like AI, data literacy, new ways of working. This is when people step up if you let them. And trust me, during an M&A or reorg, the people that you want there are the people that are absolutely going to step up during this time. Number five, create stability through connection. And if you've been listening to my podcast, this is not a new concept. Uncertainty requires more than communication. It requires connection. I like the coaching circles, peer mentoring groups, small group discussions. Here you have real conversations because when people feel isolated, they disengage. When they feel connected, they stay, and they potentially could do some of their best work. Lastly, understand your role in the room because your team is watching you. And it's not just what you say, but it's how you show up. And it's in your tone, your consistency, your ability to handle uncertainty. Again, you don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to be clear, honest, and steady. And this is interesting too. This is where a lot of the work we do at One Accord. We don't just help organizations make decisions, we help them move through change in a way that really works. Because it's one thing to decide to restructure. It's another thing entirely to understand your executive team, understand where you're exposed from a talent standpoint, who can step up and who can't, and who can lead people through it without losing your best talent. That's where most organizations struggle. That's where the real work is. I'm going to leave you with this. Mergers, acquisitions, and reorgs don't fail on paper. They fail in execution. And execution comes down to how well you lead your people through it. This is exactly where succession planning as well stops being the nice to have and becomes critical. So again, even if you're not going through an M&A or you're not going through a reorg, definitely have that succession plan in place. Because knowing who you can rely on, who's ready to step up, and where your real gaps are, a succession plan is going to help you identify that before it costs you. If you want a structured way to think about your talent, your bench strength, and how to lead through this kind of transition, I'm happy to share with you what I'm seeing right now. So reach out. I'll send you a few practical ideas you can use immediately. And no cost, no pitch. That's it for this episode of Hire Power. If you're ready to hire smarter, connect with me at frostconnections.com or at LinkedIn at Kim Frost. And if you've got something to say about today's episode, follow the show and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, hire smart, lead better, and remember, how you hire is who you become. See you next week. No fluff, just better hires.